You for getting up early. It was a really compelling interview. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
And joining us now is one of President Biden's closest allies in Washington, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. He's the co-chair of the Biden-Harris campaign, also a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Just came back from a big trip as well, talking to world leaders, top business people. Senator, there's a lot I want to get to here, but I want to start with kind of what I thought one of the biggest takeaways from Caitlin's interview with the speaker was, which is basically, regardless of what comes out of a Senate bipartisan group working on immigration, I don't necessarily get the sense there's a path forward in the House.
Phil, our job first is to make sure that the government doesn't shut down. With a series of votes today, we will send to the House a continuing resolution to keep the government open. It's my hope the House will do the same. The next job we have in front of us is to finalize this border security deal, which is very close to being done, and to pass the supplemental that President Biden requested months ago. Phil, every conversation, every meeting I was in Europe, the first question was, will the United States continue to partner with 50 other countries who in combination are providing the funding, the support for Ukraine, for the first responders who put out the fires when Russian missiles strike power plants and hospitals, and for artillery shells and material and weapon support for the brave Ukrainians who are fighting on the front lines. I am optimistic, even confident that we will, but the politics of the House are concerning.
Was the second question after the question about Ukraine, is Donald Trump going to be president again?
Yes.
And what did you say to that?
No, I'm confident that Joe Biden will be reelected, but this will be a difficult election. There are many Americans on both sides of this debate. And frankly, Phil, one of my concerns is that President Biden, in his first State of the Union, asked Congress to fix our broken immigration system, to take up and pass policy changes, revisions to law that he needs in order to fully secure our border and make our immigration system more legal, humane, and just. And we've had some Republicans saying in recent days in the House they don't want to fix the immigration system in advance of the election. My hope is that the cooler heads will prevail in the Republican caucus, and those who have worked very hard here in the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, to give President Biden both the funding he's requested to secure the border and policy changes they say are essential, that when we pass that in the Senate, the House will recognize this country can't wait 10 months more. This is urgent, and we need to make progress on securing our border.
Do you think that Democrats, from a policy perspective, what they are willing to entertain, what they're willing to sign off on when it comes to restrictions related to immigration, are in a different place than they were a year, 2 years ago because of what's happened at the border?
Yes, I think there's a willingness to reconsider the initial screening standard for asylum, for example, because so many people are now using the asylum process who ultimately, years later, after a court review, will be deemed ineligible for asylum. That's one of the biggest changes in recent years. But there's many Democrats who question whether the policy changes demanded by Republicans will actually make a difference at the border. Most Democrats would prefer a regional engagement that addresses the conditions in the countries folks are flowing from towards the United States, in addition to changes in how we screen for asylum and in how we treat folks when they're being detained or deported here. This has been a vigorous debate as long as I've been in the Senate. We have tried and tried, and hopefully the politics of the re-election campaign will not get in the way of our proving some path forward here does exist.
A Senate agreement in and of itself would be, something we haven't seen since the bipartisan bill back in, 2000. I've lost track of the last couple of decades, just you know better than anybody. I do want to ask, though.
Well, Phil, it was 2013.
That's
I was
what,
in
yes,
the room. We passed a broad,
got 65 votes, if I recall correctly,
immigration bill, and the House never took it up.
Right, and I think that's why, where there is concern about whether House Republicans will act, it does seem to be merited based on history. John Boehner, obviously a very different Speaker of the House, even than Mike Johnson ideologically. I do want to ask on other foreign policy issues, because there is a lot going on right now. The fourth U.S. strikes in Yemen targeting Houthi rebels. The biggest question that I have, given, one, the reticence of the administration to take this action until just a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, is what is the end game here?
Well, President Biden and his national security team are correctly working tirelessly since the October 7th Hamas attacks on innocent civilians in Israel to deter Iran. I'll remind you, Iran is the regional source of all this violence and all these challenges, because they are the folks who train and support and help fund the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, the militias that have been striking American targets in Iraq and in Syria. It is Iran that most needs to be deterred. President Biden and his team took a disciplined, thoughtful approach to these Houthi attacks of drones and missiles on ships. They went to the UN Security Council and got a resolution. They got 11 other countries to sign up to share the burden of the naval interception. They warned the Houthis. They took modest initial actions. Then they took more aggressive strikes. In the last 2 strikes, our forces have been hitting Houthi launchers as they are about to strike ships. So my hope is that we will find a way to deter Iran, but for the intermediate term, it's going to require more action to prevent the Houthis from striking shipping. A huge percentage of global commerce goes through the Red Sea,
right.
And we're going to begin to see impacts if every ship that's going from Asia to Europe has to go around the very south of Africa.
Certainly a cascading effect on the global economy. Senator Chris Coons, always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.